that was loud. We are talking about SEO today, and it's the OG crew. Woo! Hey, Greg, introduce yourself.
I am Greg McKinnon, and I run Original 72 Creative, and we're a full-service website graphic design and digital marketing firm in Vancouver.
And I'm Pip, and we run a search engine marketing agency over on Vancouver Island, where it's the good life. Yeah, Greg, it's the good life over here.
It's the good life everywhere, no?
Well, yes.
The good life is not where you are, it's where you're at.
Oh, I like that. Hey, Phelan's here. Phelan's saying hello. Look at that. And so organized today. I am thrilled. This, I guess, means we're live in the group. So that's helpful. Today we are talking about, the title of the talk is on-page SEO, meta mapping, meta titles, and alt tags. And guess who put together this topic?
You.
Yeah. Guess you're the only one that can answer. Yes, and the reason being is because we teach this stuff, and so I think first we have to talk about what these things are. So, because what do I have? I have meta mapping. So we're going to answer that last and talk about meta titles and alt tags. So these are all on-page SEO things that you do to help you do better in the search engine results pages, right?
Yep.
And they're things we kind of have control over a little bit, although Google has the right to change them at any time for any reason. And
often does.
They actually change titles now. So we wanted to show kind of a picture. We were, working through how to do that in a cool way. So let me, wait, do I have this? There's my cool way. Oh, look, we're both there. Yay.
Great.
So we're basically talking about search engine results pages and all the text that you get here, which is like, Greg, what do you tell clients this is?
I just say the organic results page.
Okay, yeah. I should take us back.
I always refer to it as organic because people really don't. A lot of the clients that I deal with, they just don't get that understanding of the first couple are paid and the rest are organic, and what the difference is. They all just look at this page and it's like it's the Google results, is of my search,
right?
But they don't understand breaking down that page, and I think that's why probably in our previous topics and what you go over in your course, your SEO course, is informative to have people understand what this page is all about, the anatomy of the page, what are the distinctions are of all of the different sections and what they mean.
Right. And so today we're really talking about the organic section, and Greg pointed out to me that my slide that I had was wrong now, because as you can see, so I usually have the title on top and then the URL and then the description. So that's the meta description, the meta title. Oh, I don't know why we're seeing two screens. Oh, the meta title and the URL, which actually has these things, breadcrumbs, right? So you can see where you're going and, go back. This one is interesting because it's got some site link extensions that you can't force that. That's organic. Man, you can do schema for that, but we're talking about these things which we have some control over. The other thing, Greg, I wanted to point out, I don't know if you've ever clicked on these. This is new-ish. It's the source of, so it tells like this is to make sure that people are on the up and up where the results are coming from. Another tool Google's using.
Yeah, I've actually not really noticed that before. How new is that?
Probably a couple months.
Am I way out of touch?
Well, you're more in touch with me, but I think that was my slight dyslexia coming up, because sometimes you switch things. So if a headline and a URL is switched, who's going to notice? I liked it the other way better. But why we talk about these things in SEO? Because this is like your little free ad on Google, right? And this stuff should tell the user what the page is about that they're going to, right? Which, um, and you have some control over it, some. So it's an SEO's job to know these things and know how they work and what works best. And there's so much strategy that goes into writing these things that I don't think people are aware of. But I bet you know this, Greg. Did you know that um did you know that if you write an article and you write an article like the 4 best things, or you write an article that's the 5 best things, you'll get people will click on the one that's got the odd number more.
Hmm.
Isn't that interesting? There's so many weird little things in there that you can do that people don't even know they're looking like at
The,
it.
the psychology
Why you
of it
click.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I used to tell a story about a guy that came to our house and knocked on our door and talked to me about people stealing tires. And I was like, okay. And then he started talking about BMW tires. And I was judging the guy as he stood and talked to me, like, is this guy telling the truth? He kind of looks a little raggedy. And then he said the tire bit. And I looked over at his car and he was driving a Mercedes. And I was like, all right, okay. And it's funny that we process a lot of information making a judgment while we're listening. So the same thing happens in searching. There are people trying to get us to click, and so they're going to use tactics. So now when you research something and you see the 11 best or 15 best, y'all know those people are like trying their hardest to do SEO. That's kind of getting old, though, I think. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what is meta mapping? Greg, do you want to talk about it? Meta mapping.
Yeah, well, I mean, the basic idea of meta mapping is that you have the same information or data in multiple systems. Ideally, I mean, it would be awesome for those systems to be linked or communicate, because there's less work to do, I guess, if you do it in one and it gets disseminated to the other. But that's the essential premise of meta mapping, is to have the data in multiple systems.
I can't wait until so we use a manual Google Sheet right now, and we take the information that's on the website and we put it on the Google Sheet, and we do that so we can track the keywords that we picked for each web page, and we can track like what was done before, what's being done now. And we're working on a automation way. I'm sure lots of people have it where you can automate pulling that information and then making it so that you can work on a Google Sheet. Who doesn't love Google Sheets? Right? So we that's a large, like, I mean, that's a big chunk of what you do for SEO on page, right? Beside the on page stuff. Now, here's the thing, I'm not a SEO copywriter. So I don't like, I'll give recommendations on how to update a page. I can update the page for you, but I would prefer you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'll tell you where to put the keywords, what the keyword is, and I let the meta descriptions, titles, and URLs. We write those all the time, but not the regular on page stuff. And the other thing is the alt tag, which is so how many websites, Greg, have you seen that add images and the image names are like 54321 kind of thing? Or
Oh, like every site I work with, a client, because clients don't understand any of this. They just understand they want an image on their website and they have it on their phone, or they took it with their phone or their camera, and they have to get it from there into their website. And all they do is find the way that they can get it from that place to the other place. They
yeah,
don't think about anything from image size, image dimensions, image names, nothing. They just want to get it from one place to the other.
that's fine. So do you download the images, rename them, and upload them again? I'm sure you do because you must have to optimize them for.
For sites that I'm doing image optimization for, where the images are not they don't are not named properly, or I'm downloading all of the assets from their site and then optimizing those images and renaming, and then re-uploading to the site with the optimized image.
That's awesome. And then you go in and do the alt tag, yeah, with the keyword. Hopefully with the keyword. I do have an SEO friend that's like, that's keyword stuffing. I'm like, well, is it though? If it makes sense, it's not. If it doesn't make sense, it is, right?
What keyword stuffing if you do what?
So in images, when you upload your image with a new file name, if you do keyword research and that page has a specific keyword you're trying to rank for, if you if you're supposed to tell people what the image is, that's it. So if you use the keyword and it's not appropriate, like if say my keyword's online SEO and the pictures of a kid on a swing set, so let's say it doesn't make sense. I should be calling the picture kid on a swing set.
I mean, you could get creative with your titles, and not be keyword stuffing by saying something like kid swinging on a swing set, or kid on swing set dreaming of SEO or something,
Ooh,
like
yeah,
just to get a more descriptive, like what is this picture, and then add the
yeah.
little portion of your keyword in there.
I usually take the name of my image is usually the alt tag name. Is that true for you too?
Yeah,
Most
I
of
mean, I don't spend too much time being creative with it. I typically, like most people, what's the keyword? Make sure the name of the image has the keyword in it, and then use the keyword in the title.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. And the first 100 words, couple titles. So I find meta mapping kind of fun and it sounds like you do a similar thing where when you're building a new website or when you're doing SEO, you literally take everything and pull it apart, right? And then put it back. So it's a fun process, right?
sure.
So we usually do our meta mapping initially, right, to because we want to see if people have keywords there or if anybody's tried to optimize anything. um
So your meta mapping starts, you would say, with pulling whatever information they have in current pages on their site into your spreadsheet, and then starting to work on your keyword research and make sure what they're using is correct. If not, switch it around, and then start looking at what they're currently have specified, and then rewriting to a new one to optimize
yeah,
that sort of a process.
yeah, and we so if we'll optimize the meta descriptions and titles that are actually ranking on the first couple pages of Google first, and then we'll do the other ones, because if your strategy is to try to get people to click more on your result, you're going to work on the ones where they're going to get seen more because you're not on page 60 of the search engine results pages, right? So if I'm on the bottom of page 1, for my homepage, I definitely want to utilize that to my advantage. And I need to try to beat all the other 10 listings plus all the other stuff on the page. And the way I'm going to do that is by utilizing my meta description title and URL, right? Because that's where people are looking. And we, do things like do questions. Questions get clicked on 10% more
Mm-hmm.
than other meta descriptions that don't have questions or in the title. We also use the numbers. We use symbols and characters just to entice people. And if we're doing local SEO, we will use location based stuff.
So I have a question for you on that. Sometimes putting a question as the meta description. That's what you're saying you do, because those get clicked on 10% more often. How important is it for you to put that question in there, but make sure that the page that you're going to answers that question?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could have a page of content and then optimize with some type of a question, but if that page doesn't specifically answer the question that you put in, how does that affect? Or if you're going to use a question, do you make sure the page content is rewritten so that it has a feel that it actually answers that question?
I'm wondering why it puts. Oh, there we go, Pip. That's a great question. Yes. So if I, was a user and I saw that question and I was like, oh, I want to know the answer to that, and I click on it, and then I have to look through the whole page and then to find out it's not there, and I hit that back button, that's a signal to Google, right? So just like with Google Ads, if your keyword matches your meta description, matches your landing page, you're more likely like it. For instance, if you say 40% off in your meta description and then somebody clicks on the page and it's not 40% off, I don't see that anywhere. You've done a bad job for the user. And so that's actually going to affect you worse. Affect you worse? It's going to be worse for you than.
From a user perspective, for sure, but how much of an impact would having inconsistent information in the meta to the page content affect the actual ranking of the page, do
Well,
you feel?
every time you click, so they say that meta descriptions, titles, and URLs, that little snippet of text, is not a ranking factor, right? However, the ranking factor comes in when somebody clicks because that's a signal to Google that that result's good. So if I go over to the page, so that's good, but then I don't find what I'm looking for quickly because we mostly skim the page, right? And I click that back button, that's a signal to Google that I didn't get what I needed.
That
And
is not the
so
right thing.
that's negative. So you're not winning doing that type of strategy, right?
Yeah.
It's better when we always have to think about the user first, you know? And there are some psychology tricks to managing your meta descriptions, titles, URLs, like the questions, the special symbols. If you use quotation marks, it actually gets truncated and cut off, right? And then last year we learned, like, Google decided that their titles were going to be better than our titles that we have. So the reality is that although we do this stuff, sometimes it doesn't matter. I don't know if you, because I look at this stuff and I dig in, right? I'll see a meta description that's really good. I'll be like, oh, and so I'll click on it and I can't find, I have to go to the inspect element to find the meta description because it's what's showing up on Google is actually a sentence pulled from the article, depending on my search, and not my meta description. So I always find that interesting because you can go over to the page and do the inspect element and find the exact meta description that the company did. And then if you do command find on the web page and just copy the meta description from the search engine results pages, you can find it on the page and see, what did Google do. So I find that really interesting. And
Hmm.
sometimes I do that because I like that sentence was amazing. And the other thing to do is enticement, the get your dot, 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 dot at the end, right? The ellipses, get your free dot, dot, dot. There's also words that get clicked on more, like free, free shipping. Um, Easy is another one. Free, easy. People like that. So I
Yeah,
think
who
there's,
doesn't like free? Who doesn't like easy things?
right? Yeah.
It's not a
Fast.
shock.
It's not a shock.
If I can get it for free and not have to pay for it, then I'm going there.
Yeah. So you as a web designer, though, you do meta descriptions and titles for a business. So it is an SEO person can do it, or a web person can do it, or the SEO person can do it on a Google sheet and then send it to the web person, which
Yeah,
is
I
the
think the
ideal.
big thing for people to understand is that I feel like in the past people thought the meta description, because it doesn't show anywhere on the site, that it was meant more to be just a description, a short description of what people will find on that page. But because it doesn't show, people don't give it really that much thought, and maybe we're under the impression that it was just another signal for Google to quickly read and be like, okay, what's this page about? And then go read through the content, confirm that that's what the page is about. But like you said, Google doesn't really use it as a ranking factor.
Yeah.
For people to understand now that really what it is it's that front display that's advertising your content on this page in the search results page. So you are, you do want that information to be catered to your potential client and be relevant to what you're offering on that page in that number of characters that you're allowed. So the long story short, people need to have more, give more weight to what's actually in their meta
Well,
description.
especially if you're ranking on the bottom of page 1 or top of page 2, that's where you need to focus. Because if you can have control over that and beat out other people because you're more relevant. Now, if you're not on page 2, maybe you want to update your actual web page first and then do the meta description. So there, I mean, there's many ways to do it. You can do your keyword research and then write your meta descriptions because you know what the page is about, and then update your page. Or you could do your keyword research, update your page, and then write your meta description so that it gives people what they want, right? Because the whole goal is to combine art and science. So combine SEO with being good for the user, right? So you're working to get the bots to like you and to get the users to love you, and so doing the best job on the search engine results pages is, I think, quite essential still, even though Google is sometimes changing your titles. They actually said, what did they say? Because a lot of SEOs were like, oh my god, they're complaining. And they actually said, yes, we hear you, and we're just going to do a better job at changing your titles. It's like, great. So,
I I'm of the opinion that if they change if they change your title from what you've originally had it, the purpose is because it will give you a better result or a better click through rate
yeah,
if they're changing it. They're not changing it arbitrarily. They're not going. They're not looking at this and like just be like, this is shit. You know what? It should be like this. We're just gonna change it on you, and
yeah.
because this is how we like. They're looking at it, and they're because of so much information that they have from people searching on every topic all over the world. They have all of this information, this data, and can analyze all of it
Mm.
and know that this title, if you were to put it out this way, would be better for you. So they are doing it for a good purpose. They're not just doing it because they looked at yours and it's like, it sucks. We're going to change it to this.
Well, we also, as SEOs, you definitely want to put your keyword in your title and your meta description. And sometimes, maybe just the business name might be better because sometimes less is more, you know. And so that's what I was seeing with Google. They were taking out what you wrote and then they were putting like, Seymour Digital Media or, 72 Creative. 72 Creative, yeah.
Original 72
That's
creative.
great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the SEO stuff is really fun. I think that's why I do it for a living. You think the web stuff is really fun. And the ideal is to get us together to do the job, right? That's the ideal
Yes.
outcome, right? So,
Yes.
and I don't think people realize that. I actually got a lead came in yesterday, and they're like, "We're on GoDaddy," and my heart just sank because you can't do anything with a GoDaddy website, like
Oh,
even measuring nothing.
like the GoDaddy, their own like GoDaddy web builder thing.
Yeah, they don't like. There's no place to put in Tag Manager. There's no.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got to be.
I've had a couple of clients that have those kind of sites that I've redone.
Yeah, vote against them. Vote against those guys. Maybe they'll update it. So we have 6 minutes left. I think we cover the meta descriptions and titles. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I think so.
the secrets
Maybe
of
maybe more of the descriptions, but the title is pretty straightforward. Use your keyword, and
Yeah.
I have a question. Maybe you have a good answer for. They like to have the keyword at the beginning of the title, but really, as long as it's in the title, do you feel that that's good enough, or do you really feel ranking factors would be substantially increased because it's at the beginning of the title?
Oh, that's a good question. I think if you have it in the title, it's probably good enough. Do
Hmm.
you want it at the beginning? Yeah, I do teach front end load. So, which means the keyword should go at the front of the title, and it should go at the front, if possible, of the meta description, right? And it should be in the URL. That's truly what I teach. But
Yeah.
I mean, is it like, I haven't looked at any studies that have actually said that this is the way, right? So if it doesn't, you got to write for the human first,
Well,
because
that's why I think it's probably the factor of whether it's at the beginning or just within the title somewhere is probably not a significant impact because of that human readability. Like if you use a specific keyword, you probably can't come up with a proper sentence title where it starts with that keyword to have something read properly.
right? Well, and this is a thing. So when you're in SEO, you'll know that, odd numbers work better. Special symbols work better, right? So you'll see when you start looking at the search engine results pages, like to see if other companies are doing SEO, you can see who's doing it. Um, and sometimes, you'll talk to a business owner and you'll do the meta descriptions and titles, and they won't want it like that because it doesn't read. Because I'm writing for a robot, and so in the end, the customer is the final naysayer or yay sayer, right? And you have to go with that. So, because I have made the mistake of getting too SEO ish, right? You can do too much for sure.
Hmm.
I have been guilty of that once or twice in my lifetime, you know, but so I think it just has to make sense, and you have to know who your customers are. I think that's one of the main things, right? Because that's who you're talking to. So if you got too many symbols or letters or not letters, um, special characters, then you might actually put someone off. You'll notice when you search, your keyword that you search will be highlighted in the meta descriptions. Like if I search digital marketing agency, back in the day when SEO was beginning, Google would take every single word, right? And show it. But you can still see that in the meta descriptions. They bold the every word, right? So if you'll see digital marketing agency together, or you'll see digital and then marketing and then agency, but all those meta descriptions and titles will usually have what you've written in them to
Hmm.
highlight to you that, hey, this might be what you're looking for, right? Because it is Google's job to get you the best results, but you also have to pick a result. So by you picking, it's a ranking factor, because you're clicking on it. By you not picking, it says something too, right?
So as you were talking, I was just thinking
How fun is
about
that?
getting back to the meta mapping um, portion, and that I know you have a spreadsheet. You shared it with me.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was has
Gorgeous.
is great. It has lots of information. But I was just realizing one thing it maybe didn't have was a spot to show where a current page is ranking
Uh,
in the results before or after you make a change. So that spreadsheet, this data mapping spreadsheet that you're using, you could have a column that shows your old snippet and
or
what your current result is, your new snippet that you're going to optimize for, and then potentially filling in the
I like that.
change that
Yeah.
has occurred with that
You'd want to
optimization.
make it a good way to do that would be like a 3, 6, 9, and 12 and 18. Like you maybe have a couple, because to see it over time, because so you can track ranking for a keyword, or you can track page ranking, right? Because a page is going to rank for a number of keywords over time. It's natural, right?
Yeah.
Even if you pick one, many will be ranked. So I think that's a great idea, because that's what, you want to prove what you're doing as an SEO. That's the most important part, to show value, right? We
Mhm.
actually do manual keyword tracking, and we do, I mean, although we do use some third party tools like SEMrush, uh, we base a lot of what we're looking at on from Google Search Console. So because that is the true sayer, right? That is the truth. They're giving you the information. They're Google, you know. And
Yeah.
I haven't tracked pages, but I think that's a brilliant idea. Good. And on that note, I'm gonna go. Can you do that for me? If you've stayed with us or you've joined us today, and anyone else who catches the replay, if you would like this Google Sheet, because there is a character limit, there is a meta description limit, right? We actually have it so it changes color, so that when you go over, you don't have to count the characters. So if you'd like that Google Sheet, let us know in the comments, either on YouTube or in the Facebook group. If you're not in our Facebook group, we run a group called Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. So just comment on one of the places where you're listening, and we will make sure you get that sheet. Greg, do you know what next week is?
Oh man, I'm not looking at it, but I can look at it real fast.
Look at it. Look at it.
Next week is next week is on the 5th. Ooh, 5th is my birthday.
Oh.
But I'm not on the live. I know, I checked that. It's 5 things to know about Google Search Console.
Oh, shoot.
Maybe it's not you either.
Oh, no. We got an I do. Yay. Okay, well, just give me a message in Messenger. And if we're not friends, let's be friends, and we'll get you that sheet. That's exciting. Of course, we like to share. I'm going to want your email, though. But I won't put you on a list, and I don't actually send emails out. But anyway, we are out of here. Next week, we're talking about Google Search Console. It's another SEO topic, so I'm assuming that I'm talking about it.
Could be Phelan.
Could be Phelan.
Phelan and Rena, or Phelan and you. Who knows?
So join
I know
us.
it's not me. I got
And
the day off.
let's not forget to wish Greg a happy birthday next week. Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.